Right now, my backyard looks less like a suburban oasis and more like the scene of a low-budget disaster movie filming gone slightly wrong. Thick, gray smoke, admittedly smelling faintly, deliciously of mesquite, is billowing enthusiastically from the top of the 10-foot-tall rock structure that dominates my patio. Said structure is shaped, quite deliberately, like a miniature volcano. Pulsing red and orange LED lights flicker menacingly from within its caldera and down designated lava flow channels carved into its sides. There might also be a low, synthesized rumbling sound effect emanating from a hidden speaker, adding to the general ambience of impending geological doom. Unfortunately, the ambience has attracted attention. Specifically, a fire engine, lights flashing, but siren thankfully silent, 2 police cars, ditto, and a crowd of neighbors gathered at a safe distance on the sidewalk, their faces a mixture of alarm, amusement, and morbid curiosity. Phones are out. Oh yes, there are phones. And front and center, naturally, is Karen Henderson, HOA president. Queen of Curb Appeal. She's standing ramrod straight, talking animatedly, gesticulating wildly, at a weary-looking fire captain, occasionally pointing a trembling finger directly at my smoking, glowing, rumbling creation. Okay, Greg. Deep breaths, I tell myself, trying to subtly adjust the settings on the slightly too complex remote control in my hand. Maybe the extra smoky mesquite wood chip blend combined with the enhanced volcanic ambience setting on Pyro Pete's custom fog machine was a tad ambitious for the maiden voyage. And perhaps the simulated magma flow LED sequence looks slightly more like an actual 5-alarm fire than intended. Note to self: dial back the pyroclastic effects for the neighborhood potluck. The fire captain approaches me, navigating around hoses his crew had started to unroll before realizing the flames were, in fact, LEDs. He looks profoundly tired, like he's seen too many cat-and-tree calls and now has to deal with a backyard Vesuvius. "Sir, Mr. Johnson," he calls out, raising his voice slightly over the low rumble. "Are you aware that you're, He gestures vaguely at the volcano, clearly searching for the right term. "Your landscaping feature is producing an excessive amount of smoke and has prompted multiple 911 calls reporting a possible structure fire." Before I can answer, Karen Henderson materializes beside him, practically quivering with righteous indignation. "It is not landscaping, Captain," she declares, her voice tight and shrill. "It's an abomination, a monstrosity. He built a volcano in his backyard, a volcano! All because I asked him, politely, mind you, to cover up his disgusting rusty old barbecue grill. He's going to burn the whole neighborhood down with this infernal machine." I wipe a smudge of soot from my cheek, trying to project an air of calm, barbecue-loving innocence. "Evening, Captain, officers!" I nod towards the cops who are now flanking the captain, looking equally confused. "Karen? Always a pleasure." I hold up the remote control. "Just breaking in the new barbecue pit. It's a custom smoker build, themed, you know? Little bit of theatrical smoke for effect, all perfectly under control. Let me just turn down the ambient eruption setting here." I fumble with the buttons, maybe accidentally triggering a brighter pulse of the lava LEDs. Whoops! One of the police officers steps forward. "Sir, we have city ordinances regarding excessive smoke, public nuisance, and frankly, while I can't find a specific code for it yet, I'm pretty sure there ought to be one about building things that look like active volcanoes in residential zones." "Ah, but is there an ordinance specifically prohibiting volcano-themed outdoor kitchens, officer?" I counter, unable to resist. "Because I checked, thoroughly. Page 47 of the Municipal Code, section on backyard structures? Nothing. HOA bylaws, section 18 on outdoor equipment and structures? Nada. Zip. Zilch." Karen looks like she might spontaneously combust. Extinguish it. Dismantle it immediately. It violates everything. Decency, aesthetics, common sense. The firefighters, having ascertained there's no actual uncontrolled blaze, are starting to look more curious than concerned, eyeing the smoking caldera with what might be professional interest, or maybe just hunger. The police officers exchange a weary glance. They know a civil dispute dressed up as a 911 call when they see one. This whole volcanic mess, this lava rock ode to defiance, and slow-smoked brisket currently causing emergency services to converge on my lawn, didn't just erupt out of nowhere. It wasn't born in fire and brimstone. It started, like all great suburban wars, with something small, something insignificant, something unsightly. It started with Betsy. Betsy wasn't much to look at, I'll admit. She was my trusty 10-year-old Weber kettle grill. Black enamel faded in spots, a few honorable rust patches blooming near the legs, the grates seasoned with the ghosts of 1,000 barbecues past. She wasn't shiny or new. She didn't have Bluetooth or 16 side burners, but damn could she cook. Burgers, steaks, chicken, ribs. Betsy handled them all with quiet, smoky competence. She was less an appliance, more a member of the family. Picture the scene. A perfect Saturday afternoon a few months back. Sun shining, birds chirping, me on the patio, tongs in hand, the glorious smell of grilling burgers wafting through the air. Contentment, pure, unadulterated, suburban bliss. Enter Karen Henderson, stage left, marching across her unnaturally green lawn with purpose. She stopped at the edge of my patio, arms crossed, surveying the scenery, the smoking grill, the general state of backyard relaxation, with an expression usually reserved for discovering mold. "Gregory," she began. She always called me Gregory when she was about to lodge a complaint, never Greg. "A word, if you please?" I paused mid-flip, a perfectly seared patty sizzling on the grate. "Hey, Karen, what's up? Smell the burgers? Making the neighborhood hungry?" I offered a friendly grin. She did not return it. "Gregory," she repeated, her gaze fixed on Betsy with laser intensity. "The Architectural Review Committee has received observations regarding the current condition of your outdoor cooking apparatus." My smile faltered. "My grill, Betsy. What about her?" "She's become rather unsightly, Gregory," Karen said, the word dripping with disdain. "The rust near the base, the accumulation of residue on the lid. The general state of disrepair. It detracts significantly from the overall aesthetic standards we strive so hard to maintain here in Pleasant Valley Estates. Bylaw 18, subsection F, clearly prohibits dilapidated or unsightly equipment being visible from neighboring properties or the street." I stared at her, then at Betsy, who was currently producing barbecue magic. "Unsightly? Karen, it's a barbecue grill. It gets used, it gets hot, it gets rained on. It's not supposed to look like it just came out of the box. It's got character. More importantly, it cooks a mean ribeye." Karen was unmoved. "Character is not a listed exemption in Bylaw 18F, Gregory. Perhaps a thorough cleaning? Or better yet, storing it out of sight in the garage when not in immediate use." "Store it in the garage?" I sputtered. "It's still hot after I cook, and I grill 3-4 times a week in the summer. It's meant to be outside." "Nevertheless," Karen said coolly, "the bylaws are clear. Please address the situation." She turned and marched back to her own pristine, grill-free patio, leaving me fuming beside my allegedly offensive kettle. I thought maybe she'd forget about it. I was wrong. The official HOA notices started arriving a few days later. First notice, friendly reminder. Bylaw 18. F. Maintenance of outdoor equipment. Second notice, warning. Violation documented. Unsightly equipment, outdoor grill. Included blurry phone photo of Betsy. Recommendation: replace or refurbish outdoor cooking apparatus to meet community standards. Third notice: action required. Unsightly grill. Ref: notice #2. Please store grill out of sight when not in immediate use, or provide plan for remediation, replacement by date. Failure to comply may result in fines. I tried reasoning. I sent the board an email explaining Betsy was functional, beloved, and that surface rust was normal. I offered to buy a nice grill cover. Karen replied, on behalf of the board, "A cover does not remediate the underlying unsightliness, Gregory. It merely conceals it temporarily. The committee recommends replacement with an approved model, perhaps a built-in unit consistent with modern outdoor living trends." She even attached links to several bland stainless steel monstrosities that probably cost more than my first car. My frustration simmered. It wasn't just about the grill anymore. It was about the principle. The sheer audacity of telling me my perfectly functional barbecue, sitting in my own damn backyard, wasn't aesthetically pleasing enough for her delicate sensibilities. The final notice arrived via certified mail, demanding action within 7 days. Remove or replace the offending, dilapidated equipment, or face daily fines of $25 until compliance was achieved. 7 days. I stood on my patio, notice in hand, staring at Betsy. Poor, loyal Betsy, condemned for being well used. I looked across the fence at Karen's immaculate yard. Not a stray leaf, not a mismatched paving stone, certainly no rusty barbecue grills, just beige perfection. Unsightly? I muttered the word, tasting the insult. She thinks Betsy is unsightly? An idea sparked in my brain, fueled by simmering resentment and the latent pyromania that lurks within every dedicated barbecue enthusiast. A crazy, magnificent, utterly disproportionate idea. "Oh, I'll give you something sightly, Karen. I'll give you something you won't be able to take your eyes off. Something geological." My initial fury gave way to a phase of intense, spite-fueled research. Forget buying a new HOA-approved stainless steel box. That would be surrender. No, I needed to make a statement. A big, bold, fiery statement. I started thinking about outdoor kitchens. Brick ovens? Too common. Argentinian grills? Interesting, but not visually offensive enough. I needed something that screamed, "You thought my kettle grill was a problem? Hold my beer!" My internal monologue went into overdrive. Okay, what's the opposite of unsightly? Sightly, spectacularly sightly, over-the-top sightly. What's big, involves fire, is undeniably impressive, and definitely, absolutely, positively not mentioned anywhere in that cursed HOA rulebook. My mind wandered through tiki bars, too kitschy, medieval castles, structurally complex, pirate ships, impractical drainage. Then, scrolling through images of dramatic landscapes, it hit me. Volcanoes, raw power, primal fire, dramatic smoke. And crucially, made of rock, a generally HOA-approved building material. A volcano barbecue pit. The absurdity of it was intoxicating. It was perfect. But first, due diligence. I retrieved the Pleasant Valley Estates Covenants, Conditions and Restrictions binder, my Bible of suburban oppression, and spread it open once more. I scoured the sections on outdoor structures, landscaping, fire pits, and equipment. Setbacks from property lines? Check. Maximum height for accessory structures, usually around 10, 12 feet without special variants? Check. Approved materials? Natural stone, brick, concrete, lava rock definitely fell under natural stone. Fire safety regulations for fire pits and outdoor fireplaces? Check keep flames contained, away from flammable structures, spark arresters recommended. But was there anything at all, about volcano-themed smokers? Anything prohibiting simulated geological features? Anything regulating integrated LED lava flow effects or atmospheric smoke generation? Not a single word. The bylaws were meticulously detailed about the mundane fence heights, shed colors, lawn edging, but utterly unprepared for geological-scale barbecue installations. It's not just a barbecue pit, I practiced aloud, pacing my living room. It's a custom landscape feature incorporating an integrated outdoor cooking element. See? Totally different category. It's basically edible landscaping. It sounded flimsy, but it was technically true, and technicalities were the battlefield Karen had chosen. My napkin sketches started evolving. A conical structure, maybe 8 to 10 feet tall, clad in rugged black and red lava rock. A wide opening at the top, the caldera, designed to house a high-quality smoker and grill insert. Cleverly hidden vents near the top to allow smoke to billow out dramatically. Internal cavities designed to hold waterproof LED strips for that essential lava glow. Maybe even space inside the base for a small fog machine to enhance the smoke effects, and a weatherproof speaker to provide a subtle, or not-so-subtle, volcanic rumble. It was ambitious. It was insane. It was happening. Now, to find someone crazy enough to build it, my usual lawn guy, bless his heart, was great with hedges, but probably not equipped for volcano construction. I needed specialists. My initial calls proved illuminating about the limits of standard contractor imagination. Call 1, Pete's Premium Landscaping. We make your yard bloom. Pete's Landscaping. Pete speaking. Hi, Pete. I'm looking for a quote on a fairly large backyard rock feature. Sure thing. Thinking a nice waterfall, bubbling boulder, maybe a dry creek bed? Actually, I said, taking a breath, I was thinking more along the lines of a miniature volcano, made primarily of lava rock, maybe 10 feet tall, and ideally, I'd like to be able to barbecue inside the top crater. Silence. Then, a hesitant, volcano? That you cook in? Like, actively erupting while you grill? No, simulated eruption, just smoke and lights, but yes, cooking inside. More silence. Sir, Pete said finally, his voice strained, I think maybe you need a geologist, or possibly a theme park designer. We mostly do mulch and retaining walls. Click. Call 2. Master Masons Inc., brick and stone experts, since '88. A gruff voice answered. Masonry. Yes, hello, I'm interested in getting a quote for some custom stonework. An outdoor kitchen, essentially. Yeah, we do those. Built-in grills, fireplaces, pizza ovens, the whole 9 yards. What did you have in mind? Excellent, I said. I want a high-end smoker and grill unit, built inside a structure shaped like Mount Vesuvius, approximately. A long, drawn-out pause followed. I could hear faint hammering in the background stop. Did you say Mount Vesuvius, like the volcano with a grill inside? That's the idea, I confirmed cheerfully. Is this a prank call? The Mason asked flatly. Are Jimmy and the boys putting you up to this? No, I'm completely serious. Right, the Mason sighed. Look, buddy, we build things out of brick and stone that stay put. We don't build things designed to look like they're about to explode. Call Hollywood. Click. Call 3. Alfresco Living Designs, creating your outdoor oasis. Their website featured gleaming stainless steel kitchens bigger than my actual kitchen. A smooth, professional voice answered. Alfresco Living, this is Chad. Hi, Chad. I'm exploring options for a unique outdoor cooking setup. Wonderful. We specialize in creating bespoke outdoor culinary experiences. Are you envisioning a full kitchen with refrigeration? Perhaps a wood-fired pizza oven alongside a professional-grade gas grill? Something like that, I said. But I want the grill and smoker components integrated into a large, custom-built structure made of lava rock, shaped like a volcano. Chad's professional enthusiasm faltered for a microsecond. Volcano-themed outdoor kitchen, sir? Exactly. With lighting effects to simulate lava, maybe some smoke effects. Ah, Chad said, recovering smoothly. While we certainly appreciate highly creative concepts, sir, our design focus leans towards more traditional interpretations of luxury outdoor living. And frankly, our liability insurance likely contains specific exclusions for damages arising from simulated geological events or volcano-related structural failures. May I perhaps interest you in our very popular Tuscan villa-inspired kitchen island? No thanks, Chad. I hung up. Okay, standard contractors were out. I needed someone who embraced the weird. Someone who saw Volcano Barbecue Pit not as a liability, but as a challenge. My search terms became more specific. Custom stone masonry. Thematic construction. Unusual landscape structures. That's how I found Rocky's Rock Solid Masonry and Unusual Projects. The name alone was promising. The website gallery featured photos of intricate stone fireplaces, a surprisingly realistic-looking artificial cave entrance for a pool grotto, and something that looked suspiciously like a life-sized gargoyle made of granite. I called. A voice like gravel tumbling down a mountainside answered after 2 rings. Rocky. Hi, Rocky. My name's Greg Johnson. I found your website. I have a project that might fall under your Unusual Projects category. Shoot, Rocky grunted. I took a deep breath and laid it all out. The HOA, the unsightly grill, the vision of a functional barbecue-spewing volcano in my backyard. I expected him to hang up or laugh. Instead, there was a long pause, followed by a low chuckle that sounded like it started somewhere near his steel-toed boots. Hold on, let me get this straight, Rocky rumbled. This HOA president lady, Karen something? Henderson, I supplied. Karen Henderson got her panties in a twist over your rusty old Weber. It wasn't that rusty, I protested weakly. So now, to stick it to her, you want to build a 10-foot-tall rock volcano in your backyard with a high-end smoker sunk in the top, fake lava lights, smoke effects, the whole shebang? He paused again, and I could almost hear him stroking a grizzled beard. Johnson, he said finally, his voice filled with newfound respect. That's the stupidest, most beautiful, most gloriously American thing I've ever heard in my 30 years of laying stone. I love it. Relief washed over me. So you'll do it? Hell yeah, I'll do it, Rocky boomed. But it ain't gonna be cheap, and it ain't gonna be quick. Lava rock's tricky to work with, gotta build a solid frame first. Need proper fire brick lining for the pit itself. Chimney vent gotta be disguised but functional. I quickly explained my HOA loophole theory, classifying it as a landscape feature incorporating a cooking element. Rocky got it instantly. Yeah, I play that game all the time. It ain't a deck extension, it's elevated recreational hardscaping. It ain't a tool shed, it's an auxiliary storage structure. Gotta love them loopholes. So this thing, it's integrated culinary hardscaping with geological theming. Perfect. He thought for a moment. Now, the effects, the smoke, the lights, the rumble, that ain't really my department, but I know a guy. Calls himself Pyro Pete. Does special effects for the local community theater, haunted houses, couple of indie movies. Bit of a weirdo, loves fog machines and LEDs. He owes me a favor from when I built him a dragon-shaped mailbox out of fieldstone. I bet he'd be perfect for adding the, volcanic ambiance. He scribbled some figures on a hypothetical napkin. All right. For the structure itself, foundation, frame, lava rock masonry, fire brick, chimney liner, installing your cooker unit, you're looking at roughly... He named a price that made my eyes water, but my heart soar with vengeful glee. Pete's effects will be on top of that. I barely hesitated. Build me a volcano, Rocky. Rocky chuckled again, that gravelly rumble. All right, Johnson. Let's go make this neighborhood interesting. Real interesting. The arrival of Rocky and his crew marked the beginning of the eruption of construction anyway. Their battered pickup trucks, loaded with tools, cement mixers, and sheer, unadulterated enthusiasm for building something ridiculous, became a fixture on my street. First came the foundation, a thick, reinforced concrete pad designed to support several tons of rock and barbecue equipment. Then, the framing began. Rocky's crew erected a sturdy steel skeleton, carefully shaping it into a wide-based cone, maybe 10 feet tall at its peak. It looked like the armature for a bizarre parade float. My neighbors were understandably curious. "Hey, Greg," called out Jim from 2 doors down, pausing his lawn mowing. "What's the big metal, cone thing going up?" I leaned on my fence, adopting a casual air. "Oh, hey, Jim! Just putting in a new landscape feature, going for a sort of geological theme this year. Very natural." Jim squinted at the steel frame. "Geological? Huh. Looks kinda like a volcano?" "Exactly," I beamed. "Capturing that primal energy, you know?" Jim just shook his head slowly and went back to his mower. Karen Henderson, however, was beyond curious. She was vigilant. Her blinds twitched constantly. She took photos. She paced her property line, occasionally measuring the distance from the foundation to the fence with a tape measure, presumably checking for setback violations. Rocky, anticipating this, had been meticulous. Then the lava rock arrived. Pallets upon pallets of it. Rough, porous, black and red volcanic stone that looked like it had been imported directly from Mordor. Rocky and his crew began the painstaking process of cladding the steel frame, mortaring each individual rock into place. It was slow, heavy work, but gradually, miraculously, the structure began to look less like a metal cone and more like an actual honest-to-goodness volcano. The crew seemed to be enjoying the sheer novelty of it. "Never thought I'd be building a barbecue pit out of lava rock," I overheard one younger guy say while mixing mortar. "Beats building another beige retaining wall," his partner replied. "Wonder if we can rig it so the top actually blows off on command?" "Nobody's blowing the top off," Rocky yelled from scaffolding near the peak. "Just make it look good, and make damn sure it's structurally sound. I ain't getting sued 'cause Johnson's volcano collapsed during a brisket cook." Once the rock shell was complete, the guts went in. The high-end smoker grill unit I'd purchased, a beast capable of handling multiple racks of ribs and a whole hog, practically, was carefully hoisted by crane and lowered into the waiting caldera. Rocky's team expertly lined the cooking chamber with fire brick and installed the disguised chimney vent. Then came Pyro Pete. Pete was exactly as Rocky described. Wiry, energetic, dressed entirely in black despite the summer heat, with eyes that gleamed with an almost manic enthusiasm for special effects. He dove into the project with gusto, running waterproof LED strips inside the caldera and down the pre-planned lava flow channels Rocky had built into the volcano's flanks. He installed a compact, high-output fog machine inside the volcano's base, venting it cleverly near the top. He wired up a weatherproof speaker connected to a small digital audio player loaded with various rumbling and hissing sound effects he'd sourced from movie sound libraries. He connected everything to a sophisticated remote control panel that looked like it could launch missiles. "All right, Greg," Pete declared, stepping back to admire his handiwork. "She's wired for eruption. We got pulsing magma glow, variable smoke output, and 3 levels of volcanic rumble, from gentle geothermal activity to imminent catastrophic explosion." Meanwhile, the HOA violation notices were piling up on my desk, escalating in tone and alleged infraction. Violation: installation of unapproved permanent structure exceeding height restrictions. Rocky had built it exactly to the height limit, but Karen was clearly fudging her measurements. Violation: use of non-compliant landscaping materials, lava rock, not indigenous to region. Violation: construction of potential fire hazard adjacent to property line. Cease and desist. All construction activities pending Architectural Review Committee, emergency session. Karen, unable to halt the work through official notices alone, as Rocky kept producing the valid permits for the landscape feature, resorted to direct confrontation again, this time targeting Rocky himself. "This is outrageous," she declared, marching onto my property while Rocky was inspecting the mortar work. "This is clearly not an approved landscape feature. It's a volcano. A tacky, dangerous volcano." Rocky slowly turned, wiping mortar dust from his hands onto his jeans. He looked Karen up and down. "Ma'am," he said, his voice calm and gravelly, "what you see here is a custom-built outdoor cooking installation utilizing natural stone elements, fully compliant with all documented HOA setback and height restrictions as per the approved plan." He gestured towards the structure. "Very durable, built to last." He turned back to his work, effectively dismissing her. Karen stood there, sputtering, before retreating to plot her next move. With the volcano structurally complete and Pyro Pete's effects installed, the moment of truth arrived. The first firing. Not a full barbecue yet, just seasoning the smoker, burning off any construction residue. I loaded it with a generous amount of mesquite wood chips, lit the fire according to the smoker manufacturer's instructions, and waited. Slowly, smoke began to curl from the top vent. Then it became a plume, a thick, gray, undeniably voluminous plume. Deliciously scented, yes, but a lot. "Might have overdone the wood chips," I muttered, fanning the smoke slightly. "Or maybe the draft ain't quite right in the chimney liner," Rocky observed, squinting critically. "We might need to adjust the baffle." Before Rocky could investigate further, the distant wail of sirens reached our ears. Karen had wasted no time. A fire engine pulled up, followed by a code enforcement vehicle. The fire captain sighed when he saw me. "Mr. Johnson, getting reports of uncontrolled burning again." "Just seasoning the new smoker, Captain," I explained quickly. "Standard procedure, maybe a little enthusiastic with the wood chips." The code enforcement officer sniffed the air. "That's barbecue smoke, all right, but it is crossing property lines pretty significantly. City Ordinance 34B prohibits excessive smoke emission constituting a public nuisance." They inspected the volcano, confirmed the fire was contained within the smoker unit, and found no immediate hazard. They left with a verbal warning to manage smoke output and a reminder about the ordinance. Karen watched them leave, looking disappointed, but already planning her next call. That night, Pyro Pete came over to test the effects system. We waited until well after 10 p.m., hoping for discretion. Pete fired up the LEDs. The caldera glowed an intense, pulsing orange red. The lava flow channels lit up, looking alarmingly realistic, trickling down the dark lava rock. "Okay, magma glow, check," Pete grinned. "Now for ambiance." He activated the fog machine on a low setting. Puffs of smoke began to issue from the top vent and hidden crevices near the base. He turned on the sound effects, a low subterranean rumble. "Perfect," I whispered. "Subtle yet menacing." "Let's try level 2 rumble and enhanced smoke," Pete suggested, hitting more buttons. The rumbling intensified, vibrating slightly through the patio stones. The smoke output increased significantly, billowing into the night sky. The lava LEDs pulsed faster, brighter. "Okay, maybe dial the rumble back a notch," I suggested, noticing my dog whining nervously at the back door. Just then, a light flicked on in Karen's bedroom window directly across from the brightest lava flow. We saw her silhouette appear, peering out. "Abort! Abort!" I hissed. Pete quickly killed the effects. We retreated inside, hearts pounding. A few nights later, after some adjustments by Pete, less rumble, slightly less blinding lava, we attempted another test. This time we tried coordinating the smoke puffs with the lava pulses. It was starting to look pretty cool, until the fog machine, interacting strangely with the cool night air and residual chimney smoke, created a thick, low-hanging cloud that drifted directly towards Karen's house and set off her exterior smoke detector. Lights blazed on next door. We heard indistinct shouting, another rapid shutdown, another retreat. This culminated, inevitably, in Police Visit #1. Responding to Karen's frantic call about strange lights, smoke, and loud noises, Officers Miller and Chen, yes, the veterans of my previous HOA skirmishes apparently drew the short straw again, arrived looking deeply skeptical. "All right, Mr. Johnson," Officer Miller sighed, gesturing towards the now dark and silent volcano. "What in the Sam Hill is going on here tonight? Dispatch got calls about your backyard erupting again?" "Evening, officers," I said, trying to look innocent. "Just testing the ambient settings on my new barbecue pit. Themed, you know? Little smoke effect, little mood lighting, bit of a rumble for realism. All low voltage, simulated effects, totally harmless." Karen appeared instantly, clad in a bathrobe, hair slightly askew. "Harmless? It's a menace. The lights were blinding. The smoke smelled funny. And that noise, it kept me awake. It's scaring my cat, Mittens." Mittens, currently perched on her fence, looked utterly bored. "It's significantly quieter than your lawn service crew starting their leaf blowers at 7 a.m. on a Saturday, Karen," I pointed out mildly. The officers looked at the volcano, then at me, then at Karen. "Sir," Officer Chen said carefully, "while it might be unusual, we need a specific ordinance violation. Is the noise level exceeding decibel limits after 10 p.m.? Is the smoke creating a visibility hazard?" They clearly didn't know what to make of it. They ended up issuing me a vague warning about disturbing the peace and strongly suggesting I keep the special effects usage to reasonable hours. Another small victory. But the final battle loomed. The volcano was built. The effects were tested, mostly. The authorities were baffled. There was only one thing left to do: prove its ultimate purpose. It was time for the inaugural Caldera cook-off. I decided the ultimate rebuttal to Karen's unsightly complaint was to demonstrate, undeniably, that this structure wasn't just a bizarre landscape feature, it was a superior cooking machine. I planned a neighborhood barbecue for the following Saturday. Not just burgers and dogs, oh no. This called for low and slow, show-stopping barbecue. Brisket, pulled pork, racks of ribs, smoked chicken. Food that required hours of cooking, filling the entire neighborhood with the irresistible aroma of smoldering hardwood and roasting meat. I sent out casual invitations to my friendlier neighbors, framing it as a breaking in the new smoker party. Word spread like wildfire, fueled by rampant curiosity about the volcano pit. Saturday morning dawned bright and clear. I rose early, prepping pounds of meat with my secret rubs, soaking wood chunks, a careful blend of hickory and apple this time, less aggressive than the mesquite, and firing up the smoker nestled within the volcano's caldera. Rocky had tweaked the chimney draft, and the smoke now rose in a steady, manageable, fragrant plume. I activated the lava LEDs on a low, gentle pulse, a pleasant daytime glow rather than a menacing nighttime glare. The rumbling sound effect remained off. For now. By early afternoon, the smells were incredible. Rich, smoky, meaty aromas drifted through Pleasant Valley estates, a siren call to barbecue lovers. Neighbors started arriving, drawn by the scent and the sheer spectacle. They approached the volcano with a mixture of awe and disbelief. "Greg, this is insane," Jim from down the street exclaimed, eyes wide. "But damn, it smells good." "Did you really build a volcano?" asked Mrs. Gable, clutching a bowl of potato salad. "My grandkids are going to flip out." Kids pointed, adults took pictures. Even those who clearly thought I was nuts couldn't deny the delicious smells emanating from the caldera. I was holding court, tongs in hand, explaining the smoker's features, basking in the glory of my creation. Then, around 4 p.m., the atmosphere shifted. A hush fell over the small crowd gathered in my backyard. Heads turned. Karen Henderson was marching down the sidewalk, not alone this time. She was flanked by 2 grim-faced HOA board members, clutching clipboards like shields. And behind them, a police car cruising slowly down the street, followed, unbelievably, by a fire engine, lights off but clearly responding to a call. Her call, no doubt. Karen stopped at the edge of my patio, radiating fury. The board members fanned out beside her. The police officers got out of their car, looking resigned. The fire engine parked down the street, the captain stepping out with an air of profound weariness. "Gregory!" Karen's voice was sharp enough to cut brisket. "Shut this inferno down immediately, right now. You are in clear violation of multiple city ordinances and HOA bylaws, smoke ordinances, noise ordinances." She pointed towards the silent speaker. "Light ordinances, and the fundamental principles of decent curb appeal and public safety. We have witnesses." She gestured at the board members. "Officers, Captain, you see this? It's a hazard. Issue citations. Make him extinguish it." I took a slow breath, wiped my hands on my apron, and faced the delegation, holding my barbecue tongs like a scepter. "Karen," I said, my voice calm and steady. "Board members, welcome. So glad you could make it." I gestured towards the volcano pit, where ribs were sizzling nicely. "Can I offer you some brisket? It's been smoking for about 8 hours now, cooked right here in my perfectly legal, custom-built, volcano-themed outdoor cooking feature." I turned to the fire captain. "As you can see, Captain, the fire is fully contained within the UL-listed smoker unit, installed to code. The smoke," I gestured towards the fragrant plume, "is standard barbecue smoke, currently at a very reasonable level." One of the police officers stepped forward. "Sir, we still have the issue of the smoke volume complaints." "No more smoke than any large offset smoker generating this much deliciousness, officer," I countered smoothly. "And certainly less disruptive than the synchronized leaf blower symphony that happens every Tuesday morning on this street." Just then, Rocky, bless his perfectly timed entrance, emerged from my side gate, wiping dust off his hands. He'd stopped by to check on the mortar curing. He nodded to the officials. "Yep," he announced, patting the lava rock flank of the volcano. "Built it myself. Solid as a volcano, I guess. Meets all fire code setbacks for outdoor kitchens. Chimney's drawing perfectly now." Karen looked momentarily thrown by Rocky's appearance, but quickly recovered. "It doesn't matter. It's hideous. It's unapproved." "Unapproved by whom, Karen?" I asked politely. "The city issued the permits for the structure and electrical, and as we've established, the HOA bylaws don't mention volcanoes." I might have had laminated copies of the relevant bylaw pages ready. Some of my invited neighbors, emboldened by the barbecue and the absurdity, started chiming in. "Come on, Karen, it smells amazing." "Yeah, it's weird, but it's kinda cool." Honestly, his old grill was pretty rusty. The turning point came when I took a plate, piled it high with juicy brisket slices and fall-off-the-bone ribs, and offered it to the fire captain and the police officers. "Duty calls, I know," I said sincerely. but you shouldn't have to face down suburban barbecue disputes on an empty stomach." The captain hesitated, then sighed. "All right, Johnson, but just a taste. For, smoke analysis." The police officers exchanged glances, then shrugged. They accepted plates. Karen looked like I had just offered them state secrets wrapped in bacon. Her sputtering intensified. The authorities, now armed with delicious barbecue, conferred briefly. The conclusion was inevitable. No immediate fire danger. Smoke was present, but arguably typical for the activity. Noise was non-existent. I hadn't turned the rumble back on. Lights were off. No specific laws or bylaws seemed definitively broken at that moment. "Ma'am," Officer Miller said to Karen, wiping barbecue sauce from the corner of his mouth with a napkin I'd provided. "As before, this appears to be primarily an HOA civil matter regarding aesthetics and bylaws. We don't see grounds for immediate citations or shutdown based on city ordinances." The fire captain nodded agreement. They thanked me for the cooperation and the food, suggested I remain mindful of smoke drift, and prepared to leave. Karen stood there, utterly defeated, surrounded by the tantalizing aroma of barbecue cooked in the very structure she loathed. Her board members shuffled awkwardly. "This isn't over, Gregory," she hissed, her voice lacking its usual conviction. "There will be lawyers. There will be new bylaws. There will be consequences." She turned and stormed off, her allies trailing in her wake. I watched them go, then turned back to my guests, holding up my tongs. A cheer went up. I carved another slice of brisket, the Volcano smoking gently behind me. Victory never tasted so good. Life in Pleasant Valley Estates settled into a new, volcanically charged normal. I used the Volcano pit regularly, becoming something of a neighborhood legend. Kids called me Volcano Man. Adults would either compliment my brisket or pointedly discuss property values when I walked by. I even hosted a couple of lava luau-themed parties, complete with tiki torches, HOA-approved size, naturally, and pineapple-glazed ribs smoked in the caldera. My wife, Sarah, eventually came around, mostly because the barbecue was consistently amazing. "You know," she admitted one evening, watching the lava LEDs cast a warm glow across the patio. "The rumbling sound effect you added back really does add a certain something to the ambiance." "Doesn't it?" I grinned. "Primal. Really brings out the smoky notes." "It also makes the dog howl, and Mrs. Gable called to ask if we were experiencing seismic activity again," she reminded me dryly. "Minor details." I waved a dismissive hand. The HOA, predictably, scrambled. After much debate and consultation with lawyers likely baffled by the phrase Volcano Barbecue Pit, they eventually passed several new amendments. Bylaw 18. Restrictions on thematically excessive landscape features. Bylaw 18H. Prohibition of integrated special effects, light, sound, smoke, fog, in outdoor appliances or structures. Bylaw 18Y. Definition of unsightly expanded to include geologically inaccurate replicas. My Volcano, having been built before the new rules, was grudgingly grandfathered in, a permanent smoking monument to Karen Henderson's defeat. She didn't give up, of course. Karen shifted her focus, issuing violation notices for the precise angle of my lawn edging, the slightly too early placement of my recycling bin, and the non-approved tint of my garden hose. The suburban Cold War continued, fought now on multiple pettier fronts. But tonight, it's peaceful. Just me, the gentle glow of the lava LEDs on the lowest setting, the quiet hiss of the smoker, and the incredible aroma of slow-cooking pork shoulder filling the cool night air. Across the way, I can see Karen's silhouette in her window, undoubtedly watching, probably cataloging any potential new violations. I lift a perfectly smoked rib from the grill, the meat falling off the bone. Holding it aloft for a moment, I give a polite, almost imperceptible nod in her direction before taking a large, satisfying bite. The taste of victory, slightly smoky, incredibly juicy, and undeniably volcanically defiant.